to My Waeguk Life, the podcast where we are all about discussing the foreigner experience in Korea,
as well as how professional life fits into that. As Waegukins, we are always trying to find a way
where there seems to be no way.
It's My Waeguk Life. Hello, it's been a while to say the least, but welcome back to My Waeguk Life. So we took a break to reconstruct the podcast a bit. In our last episode that we recorded, which is episode 5, we did say goodbye to Anna. So we're back at it again. This time, still here, your host Kelsey, and I have a guest today who we'll introduce later. But she might be joining us a little bit longer than today. But for today, she's a guest. She's going to help us with our free talk segment. We're going to go through the song of the week. We're going to jump into that with her. And then just discuss graduation, because that's the theme of this month. For most countries, graduation happens either in summer or around fall. But in Korea and countries because school starts in March, graduations tend to also be in March. So that's why graduation is this month's theme. So the segment that we previously had, where it was just question and answers, going forward, it's going to be called the Talk About It segment, even though this week, because we're coming back, we don't really have any listener responses. We're just going to go through the motion talking about it, after which the interview comes through. And then we're going to close out with a new thing that we're doing called a quote of the week. As usual, this is just a reminder, this podcast is brought to you by LaBridge Global. Create your tomorrow. If you have a specific freelance service you would like to share with others, but have no proper space to conduct business or manage projects, or if you need to hire someone with a specific skill set, here is your official invitation to join the LaBridge community. Visit LaBridgeGlobal.com to sign up today, or you can contact them at help@LaBridgeGlobal.com. Oh my God. I can't wait until I make Mary, our guest, help me say these things if she joins us past today, because for anybody who's listened to previous episodes, you know that Anna said half of these things. She helped me with the ad. She helped me with the intro. So firstly, our guest, how are you doing?
Hello, Kelsey. So nice to be hosting this with you today, and I guess for the near future as well.
Give our listeners a little small introduction, a little chagisoge, if you will.
All right, I'll keep this nice and short. Hello, everyone. As you already heard, my name is Mary, and I'm so glad to have this invitation to join Kelsey on this podcast. I've been in Korea for 6 years. Yeah.
She has me beat by 2 years.
Right? It's been so long. It's like that drug you never get enough of. But anyways. I came to Korea in 2013, February, to study. Yay. All about the books. No, I'm not that nerd. So anyways, back to the real stuff. I've been in Korea for 6 years, came in 2013, did my undergraduate. That was like a 5-year program with 1 year of intensive Korean. Yet, my Korean skills are not the best. After that, I still did not have enough of the country, so I decided to stay another year, and I just wrapped up my master's.
Ooh.
So I'm officially unemployed.
I thought you were gonna go, I'm officially a 석사, but you just jumped to the unemployment thing. It's like the life we lead, even though we have master's degrees. It's like
it's that thing we call adulthood. It's like when you're like 8, 16, you're like, oh my God, I just want to be also grown up so I can do my own thing, rule the whole world by myself. And then
oh, how wrong we were. And our parents just sat in a corner and were like, all right, we'll see.
Right. And now they're miles away across the world, and all they can do is just yeah, that's the life. I don't know how I've been doing it all these years.
Oh God, it's like parents, I think they just hold it. They're just like, we're gonna let you find this one out on your own,
right?
Because you're like, when you're young, you're like, I can't wait to be an adult, and they're like,
Exactly.
Okay.
They never tell us about the bills you have to pay.
They don't. And now I'm like, I gave up naps. and a free living situation.
What I would pay to go back to those days.
Right? Oh, Lord. Okay, so before we used to end this podcast with our recommended song of the week, but now we're going to start kicking it off with it. I kind of springed this on my dear co-host, guest of the day, a little last minute, so I don't know if she has anything prepared. But in the interim, I'll start off. So before, whenever I did a song of the week, it was like I was in this mood. I don't think I've left this mood, but there were a lot of, oh, the world is kind of trash, but it'll get better songs that I recommended. And I promised myself I was going to break out of it. But then I found myself immediately going back to those songs. So I'm like, okay, let's not do this. Let's not go back to the world is like trying to test me, but I can do this songs. Right. So the song I came up with to recommend to the listeners this week is a newer song that I have completely just been feeling. It's like one of those, I want to say the word bop, but at the same time, I don't want to say the word bop. I feel like I want to sound like so lame saying the word bop. Okay. But it's a bop. It's like, it's not super deep on anything, but it's a fun song. Right. It's called On Me, and it's a Meek Mill song featuring Cardi B, and it is off of his newest album, which was released in December 2018. Okay. And it's just a party, like a lot of Cardi B songs are just really kind of just party songs. They're like she has a couple of feel good songs, but most of her songs are just like I'm gonna like rock my head and just kind of dance in my room by myself. And that song is pretty much in that same realm. But yeah, if you have time, I suggest if you have time, give the whole Meek album a listen. It's Meek Mill. The album is called Championships. It's a really good album. If you're not into rap, obviously I don't think you would really be your cup of tea. But if you're into rap and you're into rap that is fun on some ends, but also conscious on some ends, where it speaks about real life things, then it's a really good album to listen to. But the song I'm recommending is On Me. It's like a fun little party song. Add it to your I'm getting ready to go to the club playlist.
Well, it's surprising. You always tell me how much you hate sales, but damn, girl, I have to applaud you. Just did a really good job in selling me this album over here.
Yeah.
I know. Definitely. I'm actually new to this, so I have never heard this song, so I will definitely give it a listen, and I'll make sure to recommend people based on your fantastic advertising
my
skills.
Sales pitch. When we upload this, you should just clip that part of me, and just anytime you're like, oh, you want to hear like a new song, and just play it. This will be like
perfect. Definitely going to do that.
I should get paid for that, but
Oh no, this is how it starts. You start on air, and then someone's going to listen, and they're going to be like, "Oh, she's a good salesperson." Not to say salesman, but okay.
Okay, so even though it was last minute, if you don't, it's fine. We can just you'll be prepared for next week. But do you have a song recommendation, Mary?
Oh no, right now I am just not there yet.
It was too last minute. Like I sprung it on her, guys. Like literally 10 minutes before we walked into the studio, I was like, oh darn, you are supposed to do a song of the week. I'm such an awesome podcast host.
Definitely. I'm learning so much from you.
Like I'm amazing at this. Okay.
Yeah. But I'll do a better job as well and make sure I have one for the next week.
All right, like guys, I'll send her like a proper like detailed script next time. She'll be ready. It's not her fault. It's my fault.
I hope so, because now I can bash you on air.
Oh no! Oh darn! Okay, so that's our recommended song for this week. If you want to make a suggestion as to what kind of songs would be recommended through the show, you can send us an email at libridgeglobal@gmail.com. Also, to note, if you'd like to place an ad or send us an email, the same email address applies. That is libridgeglobal@gmail.com. Okay, so moving on to the Talk About It segment that we had mentioned before. So we decided we're going to have themed months going forward. And we're going to announce it on our social media and everything. But this month's theme, going through the rest of March, is graduation. I explained earlier why it would be graduation with a podcast in Korea. But, we have to say it. We say it like 6 times in this podcast. If you would like to participate or send your responses into us, send them to libridgeglobal@gmail.com. Again, that is LIBRIDGE global@gmail.com. We want to hear all of your responses to this. So, as someone who recently graduated.
Oh no.
Can you first tell me leading up to graduation, did you feel it, or was it 2 weeks before you graduated you were like, shit? 2 weeks before your graduation you were like, oh damn, I'm graduating?
No, I mean, I jumped right into my master's. I think after finishing my undergrad, I had maybe a month or so of vacation.
Okay, so I'm Mary's friend before we're co-hosts, and homegirl started school 2 days after she graduated. She's lying. She graduated and then was like, I have to go get these papers. Oh, I have to go do this. I'm like, dude, you can rest. And she's like, oh no, my classes start tomorrow. Actually, I have orientation on the weekend. I was like, what? You just graduated, you were just in a cap and gown. I'm loading you up on this podcast.
All right. In my defense, there is always in my defense. I'm not one to really just stay without anything to do. Mm-hmm. And the idea of being unemployed after undergrad was just, how can I put this? I don't think there's a word to describe, but it did freak me out. Mm-hmm. And around the same time, the application was on for a master's program. And I'm like, well, why not? I'm young, I have energy. I was all like, yeah, I can still do this. Yeah, no.
Yeah, that feeling happened. That feeling knocked me around the first set of exams I had, where I was like, I can't even blame my parents for this because I did this to myself.
Exactly.
I came back here.
Exactly.
They were like, you at least have to get your undergrad. And I was like, but a master's.
As women and nowadays, as we talk more about empowerment, you're always just like, undergrad is just not enough.
Right.
I have to do more. So I was around that flow. So yeah, as I was saying, in my defense, I didn't really want to stay without doing anything for too long. And the master's application period was on when I was wrapping up my undergrad. And I was like, okay, let me just apply. If it goes through, then, that's a sign I should move on to do my master's. Having said that, back to your question, when graduation was coming around, I didn't really feel it because at the same time I was so stressed with, oh my God, I have to write this thesis and then I have to put it through plagiarism. What if it's high? What if it's low? Right. What if I have to do more references? What if I don't answer my hypothesis? A lot of things were happening at that time, and I didn't really feel it until I got the email and they're like, oh, congratulations, you'll be, graduating in a couple of months. So let's do that Korean thing we always do. Let's take pictures before you actually graduate.
Yeah. Okay, so for anybody who is a foreigner who didn't do school in Korea, or you're a foreigner outside of Korea who's interested in either doing school or coming here to work, depending on the program, it can be 2 weeks out from graduation. Some places do it months out from graduation. You'll get this email from your department and they go, it's grad picture time. And you're like, what? I have exams in 2 weeks. What are you talking about?
What if I don't even pass?
Right? It's that's true. But, they cap and gown you and you go to a professional studio, or a professional photographer comes to your department and you sit in front of a backdrop and you take your solo photo, and then you have group department photos, and you might have class photos, and some of them might even ask you if you want to have a group of friend photos. But there's, depending on the school, that happens. But I would find it I really want to talk to somebody who took those photos and didn't pass.
Someone that did not pass. No, yeah, because actually when I did my undergraduate, we did our photos, I think, September or October of 2017, and our graduation was not until February of 2018.
Right.
So you have to imagine, especially as a girl, you take these pictures and you're like, oh my God, professional pictures. I look so good. Oh my God, this is going to be great. And then they tell you, oh, by the way, you're only getting the pictures in February. And you're like, really? What's happening over here? No, so for my master's, I believe we did it, I think within a month before graduation. So that went well, but it has been now, I think, almost 3 or 4 months, and I've still not seen the graduation pictures.
Seriously?
No, I have not. There's no day that I do not go onto the school's website and I go under their photos and I'm like, okay, wait, you just posted something that happened like 2 days ago, but what about that thing that happened a couple of months ago called graduation? I thought it was important enough to come up, you know?
Oh, no.
So I'm still waiting.
Maybe they'll give it to you when they give it your diploma in 5 months.
Yeah.
Well, okay, it's not 5 months. It's 3?
Yeah, like May.
Yeah.
Let's see. Hopefully. I
See,
still have faith.
The thing about it is, though, I don't know. Okay, so I didn't do an undergrad in Korea. I only did my master's. And you would hope and pray and wish that those photos were going into like a yearbook.
Right.
But they're not. They just emailed us the photos. I was like, cool. But the thing about it is, so whether it's graduation photos, professional photos, or anything, when you go to a photo studio in Korea, you take your photos and you can sit down in front of a computer and watch them Photoshop you.
Oh, that's such a beautiful experience.
When I did that, feelings were hurt.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, the thing about it is, though, too, I don't know if it was because it's my first experience or I don't come from a country that is as focused on these kind of things as Korea is. Mm-hmm. But when I sat there, I was like, oh my God, why is he doing this to me? Like erasing dark spots and getting rid of laugh lines and one of my eyes is in photos. It's distinctly a different shape. Mm-hmm. And he fixed that. And I was like, and then there's this girl behind me. She's like, can you make my jaw skinnier? Can you make my eyes bigger? Oh. Make my eyebrows darker? Can you give me a little bit of an arch? And I'm like,
Now, you see, the problem I have with that is I'm always so concerned that what if I leave the country and I'm at an airport, trying to pass security somewhere at some point in life, and I present them with this picture that, in my opinion, does not look like me, And what happens then? How do I explain, well, that was Photoshop? No, because literally I do have a couple of pictures as well, and I'm like, I don't recognize myself in these.
I have to say, too, one of the things, okay, so this is obviously just audio, so I don't know if I've mentioned it before, but I am a black woman.
Oh, yes.
So one of the things I was just I was readying myself for was, if he touches my skin tone, I will fight him. But luckily he didn't. He didn't try to brighten it. He just left it as it was. And I was like, oh.
You did good, man. I like you. You're the real thing.
I was like, fine. I won't be as offended of this nose sculpt.
Right. No, it's amazing. It's amazing, but at the same time, it's actually, I think, a good practice. Because actually, when you told me I was coming on this segment and it was all about graduation, I was like, oh my God, what happened to my graduation pictures? And I was trying to find them, at least my undergraduate ones. And my heart was so broken when I realized that, oh my God, I did not download the file and the file had an expiration date.
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah. I'm devastated.
Wait, can you call your school and ask them for it?
That is the thing. As you had mentioned, they hired someone to come and take the pictures. Oh. So I think at some point they told us that after a certain period, they delete, to save space. The only thing I do actually have is the album. Because here's the thing, at least for the undergraduate program, you go there, you take your pictures, and as you said, you have individual pictures, you have class group pictures, and then at the end, they're like, okay, so what do you want? You just want to print out one picture? 2 pictures, what frame do you want, do you want the booklet, and everything has its price.
Right.
So I ended up taking just like a frame of my picture with like the gown, and then I asked also for the album. So all in all together, I paid almost, if not a little over 100,000 won.
Okay.
So it depends on the packages, it's possible, but then again, not everyone actually wants it. And then also, if you do then pay for a frame and an album, at least at Kyunghee University, they then are willing to also give you like all the pictures that you took.
Ooh.
So that is actually quite a good deal.
It is.
A nice way also to keep memories. I remember, I think we were, 5 or 4 girls that signed up to take the picture. So at least you have like some memory of some of the people. But it's super thick. It's super thick. They put all the departments, all the different departments, and all the people that graduated and applied. Here's the thing though, although you could be a class of, let's say, 20 and 15 graduate, unless you apply to have your pictures taken, you don't all come up in the album. That is the thing where I feel that, it would be nicer to have like a class, like like a big group. Yeah.
I was thinking the same.
Exactly. So maybe something for the future.
Yeah. When I first heard about the picture thing, and I thought it was going to be like, because you take like your year and like it's like 40, 50 people like standing.
Right.
Like in Jamaica, we broke it down by department and everything. So my class graduation photo was a graduation of 63 people, and we were one of the smallest groups.
Right, that is the thing. I was like also so amazed here because I was expecting it's going to be this whole ceremony where it's, you go up on stage, you receive your diploma.
Right.
But then the classes are so huge, and I think also because of some people decide to stay longer in school, take additional credits, some go off for like, I don't know, military service, or they take like a year off. So you don't necessarily graduate with the same people, and even the people that end up graduating, sometimes you're like your seniors that have been there for a little bit longer than you, so you don't actually know them. But I was like a little bit sad because I literally had to just go and receive my diploma at an office, and there was like no emotional.
Right, that was one of the sad
connection.
things about graduating in Korea. Okay, so for those who don't know, when you go to a Korean graduation ceremony, they don't want to have like a super extended ceremony. They do have very long speeches, which a lot of graduations do, but they kind of just, in the Western world, I guess you would say, or in a lot of other countries, they just kind of kick the bucket and they just are like, graduation is a whole day thing. We're going all out. So like from 9 in the morning, you're going to hear the principal, the dean, department heads, all those people are going to talk. Then your valedictorian is going to speak. And then class reps and government reps are going to speak. And then one by one, you get to go collect your diploma. Huge school, small school, whatever have you. The thing is, like for really, really large schools, they'll probably be like, we'll have one general service, which will just be a graduation. And then you'll do departmental graduations where you definitely go up on stage. Korea doesn't have that.
Right.
Some departments will create like a ceremony so you can have that feeling. Right. My MBA, the MBA program that I attended, they did that. So after graduation, they had like a separate ceremony, but it's still not like a huge like graduation thing.
Right.
But Korea doesn't do that. What they do is they go class of 2018 science department, and one rep from your department goes up and collects a diploma on behalf of the whole department.
Someone you maybe don't even know.
Right. Because the person who collected the diplomas on behalf of, because I did MBA track and finance, there weren't that many of us. And I still didn't know who that person was.
Right.
So, yeah, especially in a master's program where it's like you have some people who are full-time students, so they can go to class whenever. But you have a lot of people who are night course students. And I avoided night classes as much as I possibly could.
I mean, one thing on that is, although Korea doesn't do that, I'm kind of also happy they don't, because I don't know if I'd be able to sit down and listen to all like these speeches just to wait my turn to come up on stage and take my certificate.
I think that's mainly because of the language. there's only so much Korean you can dig.
Right. I mean, it's hard. I mean, when you're doing especially your undergraduate, you really just learn the Korean that you need to be able to go through classes.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think you go to the extent. I mean, it depends also on the person, but I think for most of us foreigners, it's kind of hard to want to go through the whole process of like learning the professional Korean so that you can sit through this long ceremonies and, just at the end so that you can get like a certificate. So to a certain extent, yay. I mean,
also, all truth, very extensive shade. I went to Mary's graduation, the first speaker, and she wasn't even speaking in Korean, but she spoke for 2 hours. But we didn't even get through her speech and we left. We were like, all right,
this is not happening.
This isn't it. This is not what we signed up for. We went outside and we took all of we're happy for our friend as she graduated photos.
Right.
We most of us separated. I went with her to collect her diploma and we had lunch.
Yeah.
Because we were like, yo, she told us to come here at 9.
Right.
We got there. It's 11:15 and this woman is still talking.
It's amazing. And it's like she's in this lovely auditorium and everything is just so beautiful and so perfectly laid out. And I'm just feeling sorry for the people sitting right behind her on stage because at that point you cannot doze off.
Right. No, you have to be there. Like you're like everybody's looking at you.
Exactly. You can't even take your phone out and go like, okay, let me waste time on Instagram.
So like, let me just browse the timeline real quick. You can't do any of that. You have, not only do you have to be there, you have to at least pretend to be attentive.
And that you care.
You have to nod at the right moment.
Right.
Clap at the right time.
Exactly. Like fake that smile at the right time.
Is that right? Like, give her like a little, oh, right. Yes, I'm feeling this message.
Exactly. Especially because she was talking about something related to, I think, the SDGs or, something very important. So you cannot, and I say this again, you cannot afford to fall asleep.
Because you're up at the front on the stage, the lights are shining down on you, so it's clear.
Right. I mean, we all the way at the back here as the audience, looking in, you can like sleep off a little bit, but then again, your neighbor will just wake you up. So on stage, I'm sorry, I feel for you guys.
Right? Like, I don't even want to know how long that service actually went. I'm pretty sure somebody, probably the master of ceremonies at some point, turned to a couple teachers and were like, look, we're not doing this. All right, she took long enough. Say hi, say bye, congratulate them, and move on.
Exactly. Let's keep the show going.
Okay, so
true.
For the most part, we're supposed to have an interview-free talk segment with our guests, but we've pretty much been doing that here with Mary going through. So I'm just going to, for earlier episodes at the end of our free talk, we did something called Fast Round, where the hosts listed 3 things, and usually because it was a cultural difference between Korea and your home country, we listed three things that those whatever keywords I gave you reminded you like of your country or what came to mind in terms of your country. But before we head into that, that's going to be the main part of our free talk segment here. But you mentioned to the people in your 자기소개. I love saying that word. Only because people no longer ask me to do 자기소개.
Oh, right.
But, so you mentioned you're from Mozambique.
Yay.
But I know as your friend that while that is your home base, you've been to many places. But if you could name 3 things you miss the most about your country, what would they be?
Beach, warm weather, social life. I mean, there is no weekend that you're not somewhere having a nice barbecue at someone's backyard, by the pool, shorts, tank tops.
Oh my God.
Yes.
Korea is like...
That's what I miss.
Korea has probably a span of maybe 6 weeks in the whole year where you can do things like that comfortably. Because spring... I don't know, maybe it will be better this year, but especially last year, spring lasted for half a second. And then we went into summer. And then Korean summer is like, I can deal with hot weather. I cannot deal with extremely humid and suffocatingly hot weather. Like, you would step off of a bus, and between the hot air that is trapped below the humid and the density of like the fog in Korea, the smog in Korea, and then the exhaust from the bus, you would try to take a deep breath and your lungs would be like, if you dare do this to me again, I will fight you.
So here's the thing, for any Koreans listening in or anyone that lives in Korea and manages not to sweat during the summer, please, and I beg you, please share your trick with us. Because I considered myself a person that did not sweat at all. But I have been in Korea for 6 summers to come. And wow, I mean, the moment I step out and take 3 steps, I have like sweat dripping on my forehead and I'm like, oh my God, what is this?
Right.
I try to not put foundation, makeup. The only thing I literally have is cream.
Right.
So what is happening?
I remember my first summer here, I was like, usually I would walk from my house to my class. It was like a 8 to 10 minute walk, and I'm just like, oh, it's a cool walk. And then the first really hot day, it's like I have on a t-shirt and shorts, sneakers, and halfway through the walk, I'm like, why am I wet?
In places I should not be wet.
I was like, listen, what is going on? I have to go home and take a shower. Why is this like this?
So here's a trick I have. Go into a subway, because the ventilation, air conditioned, dude, it's amazing. You literally go in and it's all gone. You step out and you're like, oh, right, I forgot. It's summer. So that's the trick I have so far, but please do share.
Okay, so next question, country-based and culture-based, is for the people who don't know, please tell us what language you speak in Mozambique.
Okay. So there is no such thing as Mozambican. I have to make this clear. I have to say it. There is no language called Mozambican.
Are you sure? Because
I
people
am
out
sure.
there say Jamaican exists as a language, so I'm pretty sure Mozambican is a thing.
So people say this, but this is not true. We have indigenous languages, yes, and we have over 30. But our official language, colonized by the Portuguese, is Portuguese. No Mozambican people, please.
How do you How do you say hi in Mozambican, Stella?
Okay, there you're going to say I am not from Mozambique, because I cannot even tell you how to say hello in Mozambican, because it does not exist. We will not fight you over this, but we will also not be very happy to hear you say Mozambican. They're Mozambican as in like the people, but not the language. We speak Portuguese. We speak Portuguese.
Okay. So, how well has your Portuguese been, seeing that now you live in Korea, you've been here for 6 years, and I know that you've lived other places. So, on a scale of 1 to 10, the fact that you now exist more in Korean and English, what is your Portuguese like?
So probably my dad would be the best person to answer this question, because anytime I talk to him, he's always like, Stella, no. That's not how you say it. Stella, please conjugate it the way it has to be. So I'm always trying to speak with him in Portuguese English, so that he doesn't really notice all my mistakes and he doesn't buy it. So if I have to be honest, if I stay out of Mozambique for a very long time, for example, the last time I was home was last May. So now my Portuguese is at a good 7-ish. Once I'm back home, it takes me a couple of days to just, get into the whole vibe that I'm supposed to be speaking in Portuguese. So once I'm back home, obviously, I get with the program and it does go up there. Professionally, that's still to be tested. But I must admit, I get away with speaking in Portuguese for a very long time, even when I'm back home, because my environment is a mixture of Portuguese and English. But yeah, I really need to work on that.
I can attest to this because I exist in Korean and English, and my English has still gotten worse.
I know. Sometimes you're like, wait. Is it the here or the doesn't come here, because I have heard so many the's where they don't need to be that I've started to believe that they do need to be there.
I think that's part of the problem, where it's like there's certain ways that people who aren't savvy to proper conjugations and articles will say things in Korea. They'll leave off certain ofs or thes or whatever, and you just start saying it like that. It's like there are days where I've sent messages to my Korean friends and I'm like,
what did I say over here?
Dear God. I'm like, I'm really talking more like they are.
Right.
When I know how to, as a journalist kid, sometimes I look at it and I'm like, oh, my mother would kill me.
I know. Or when when you're still in, because I don't know, I think, did you have any English classes at your master's level?
I did.
Right.
Some, not much.
And sometimes you get your results and you're like, A-, I should be getting an A. What's happening? No, but I mean, once you're in a country, you just have the tendency as well to, integrate fully. And that also involves like the language itself.
Yeah.
So speaking your native language comes kind of like second, if not third.
Right.
So unless you're really practicing and keeping at it, it's just so easy to get carried away and start losing it a little.
Yeah, that is completely true. I feel like there's no foreigner that doesn't go through that. Like, you'll be saying something and you're like, I have to go to the 화장실.
I
you're
know.
like, wait, no, I have to go to the...
What is it called? WC?
Restroom? Yeah, restroom. I gotta go.
Right. Well, you start putting some British in there. You gotta go to the loo.
Right.
And everyone's like, what's the loo?
Now, I do that often enough because, okay, so the English we learn in Jamaica in school is British-based. We learn some of their slangs and a lot of the words they use. However, Jamaica is largely, like the rest of the world, exposed to American English. So they call things... Actually, so America calls the bathroom... America calls that place that has the toilet and stuff like that a restroom.
Right.
Jamaica, whether it's in a restaurant or not, calls that room a bathroom.
Right.
Even though technically that should only be for homes because restaurants don't have bathtubs.
Correct.
But I digress.
Right.
And half of Jamaica uses the terminology the loo.
Mm-hmm.
The other half just says restroom. So it depends on what media you're more exposed to in Jamaica.
Right.
If you really want to be Jamaican, you just said a bathroom.
You got to put the accent to it.
You just said a bathroom. Like, never go to bathroom.
Right.
Go to bathroom day.
You see, I missed this. Just, a little inside information over here. Kelsey and I met as we were both part-timing.
Yeah.
And anytime she switched to her full-on Jamaican accent, I knew she had enough.
Like, the faces, whenever I would switch... It was amazing. I remember one time we were having dinner before shift and my friend messaged me something and the response I needed to say, it was just going to take too long in messaging, and sometimes typing patois can be really convoluted. So I turn around, I turn my back to the table to whisper a little message in my voice notes, and after I turn back, everybody at the table is like,
what did you say?
What was that? What did you even say?
Come again? Is that English?
All right. I also remember when I was extremely tired or I was really pissed off at somebody, I would just switch into it and I would look over at Stella and Stella would be like, oh, I'm not doing this today.
You get to that stage in the friendship when you know that your friend loves you, but it's probably not the time to approach her. So me and Kelsey were at that point. I look at her, I study her face expression, and I know you don't want to get close to that.
Right? There's days where you walk in and you be like, hey, Stella, and she's like, hi. I'm like, okay, so Stella's not in the mood today. I am not going to get caught in the crossfires. And then you have another coworker, he's like, come on, Stella, just laugh. And I'm like, I'm going to go upstairs and do the inventory because I don't want to be anywhere near here when that explodes. Yeah, we got to that place.
Yeah, we did. But fun times, eh? Fun times.
So with a little bit of knowledge we have from Mozambique, the fire round, when I say the word, long thinking, you just have to tell me immediately what comes to your mind.
Just a word or a phrase?
You can explain it, but it's going to be things like, okay, so the first one is, as somebody who's never been to Mozambique, where is the number one place you would recommend I go as a tourist?
Beaches, and we have so many, so I cannot tell you one. I would just say you have to go all over like our coast side. There are lovely beaches for you to go to.
So are the beaches like a lot of them like hotel beaches or just like natural open public beaches?
They're open. We don't have like privatized. Well, some people claim it's private, but it's public. And as long as you're also like at a hotel, they have usually perfect views, easy access. So definitely a place to go.
Nice. As an island girl myself, that sounds right up my alley.
Right.
Okay, so second thing. I go to Mozambique. What is the first native food dish I have to try?
Ooh, the way we call it is piripiri.
Piri-piri?
Yeah. Frango di piripiri, which is basically just really spicy chicken. I'm not sure if you can call that native, but that is the thing. If you Google what dishes to eat in Mozambique, that's definitely going to be on the list.
So how do you guys usually eat it? Is it like stewed and you eat it with rice or?
Well, yeah, rice, fries, really just depends on your taste, but yeah.
Is it one of your favorites?
Ooh, that is actually a very good question because believe it or not, when I left Mozambique for Korea, I hated spicy food. Like
Really?
I hated spicy food. I could not digest spicy food. And now I love it. But surprisingly enough, I haven't tried it. And I go home every year, but I haven't tried the spicy chicken. That is such a good question. Like I never actually thought about it. I should definitely give it a taste. But from what I hear, it's really good. It's really good.
Okay, and then the last fire round. What is the biggest holiday that's celebrated in Mozambique?
New Year's.
Really?
I laugh at that because I have spent a couple of New Year's here in Korea and yeah, it's nothing like home.
Lackluster.
Yeah. So going back home for New Year's has always been like a big celebration. I don't only say this as someone that goes home as vacations, but because I also know that people that are home 24/7 every day of the year, usually they look forward for that period of December because usually we spend Christmas with family.
Right.
And a day or two after Christmas, it's all kind of like, parents, we love you. Bye. See you next year.
Oh, no.
And we take off.
Oh, God.
We take off and we just kind of like, go straight to the beach areas. And that's where we spend New Year's.
Oh, so this is a multi-day experience.
Oh, yes, definitely. You go around like the 27-ish. That's when usually people start going off. Latecomers come around the like 28th or 29th.
Right.
And you're usually back by the 2nd or the 3rd.
Oh, wow.
It's like a week long of just partying, no
like a party
parents. Yeah, I mean, whatever happens then stays there.
That's how we live our lives. Parents don't listen.
Right.
Cover
right.
your ears.
They know not to call. Yeah.
Okay, so moving on to our final segment. Our quote this week, I'm bringing it to my home country. I love looking up quotes from this specific person. If in the audience, I have a question for you. If you're listening, don't know how many of you are out there listening, but if you're listening, I'm from Jamaica. I want to quote somebody famous from Jamaica. Guess who it is?
Bob Marley.
Oh. She got it right. Oh my God.
I thought you were going to say something along the lines of being discriminative or something like that.
No. I'm being mad stereotypical right now.
All right.
Like, don't judge me. But, like, to be honest, if you've ever followed anything, even if you've only followed Bob Marley's music, the message in his music tends to be very spiritual, connected to the earth. That's the kind of person he was. But he also had a lot of quotes just through interviews or just like articles or just anything he would put on himself in like his album artwork and everything. And a lot of them were quite deep. So the official quote for today from Sir Bob is, "Judge not before you judge yourself. Judge not if you're not ready for judgment."
Ooh.
So this is his version of those without sin cast the first stone.
Exactly.
So
That's deep.
yeah, he's just basically saying if you don't look inward, you don't have a right to look at somebody else with judging eyes.
That is so true.
And if you don't want to be judged, don't judge others.
That is so true.
It's like, live your life to the fullest and be happy with yourself before you try to tear down others for not being what you think they should be.
Exactly.
And I love that quote to death, especially because, you know, as millennials, we get to places where like your mental is so focused on what society says you should be.
Right.
Society says that at 22, you're already supposed to know who you're going to be with for the rest of your life. You're supposed to have a career in mind. You should know what you want to do. By 30, you should already be having your first kid. You should have a home. And it's like, but that's not my life.
Right.
That's not what I want. But you get so stuck in your head. So eventually, even if you do get those things, all you do is look at the next person who might be happy and just traveling around and not having a job or a big house, and you go, why are they like that?
Right.
Why is she like not getting married?
I mean, you always have to ask yourself before dashing out any kind of like critique or any kind of comments on how someone should be living their life. You should first ask yourself, first of all, do they even want my opinion on this?
Right.
Second of all, who am I to even give my opinion on this?
Right.
And third of all, who says they're not happy the way things are? I mean, just because you live your life in a certain way and you're happy about your achievements does not mean that every other person wishes to have the same lifestyle. So
exactly.
Don't go ahead giving comments, criticisms, unless they have been asked for, unless they're welcome. Because the same way you think you have a perfect life, I can be looking at your life and seeing so many flawed things in it. But for all I know, those are the things that you actually appreciate about your life. So
exactly. So
I think there's another quote: "Don't judge a man until you walk in his shoes," or something like that. So
to close it out again, this quote is, and I want you to just take it with you everywhere: judge not before you judge yourself. Judge not if you're not ready for judgment. So we're going to end out our program today. It's been a fun talk here with my new co-host.
Yay!
Okay, so thanks for joining me this week. Also, I'd like to give a special thanks for Mary for doing this with me.
Yeah, my pleasure. I can never say no to Kelsey.
If you're listening on YouTube, Papang, or Wushka, leave us a comment, even if it's just to say hi. You know, we appreciate the hellos. And if you would like to be a part of our podcast, either as a guest or if you have a suggestion as to what you'd like to hear, send us an email at thebridgeglobal@gmail.com. Bye.
Bye.